Hey everybody, welcome back to the page. I wanted to touch on, the prepper mentality thing. I've been giving it a lot of thought. Uh, and, there's a lot of common things that you have around your house, or I did, that could be used to help you, if a situation come up where, let's say, the crap did hit the fan. Okay. We discussed, food, water, shelter, and protection. Okay, some of these will overlap, but I wanted to do today just food, and I know, uh, you know, people have put back food, but eventually it will run out. Okay, so, you have to have means to acquire or produce more food. And that's what I want to touch on today. Okay, let's start with the big one. Everybody's going to hunt. Everybody's going to go to the woods and we're going to kill deer, bear, elk, moose, and everything else. Well, that's everybody else's plan too. Okay, and they will be on your land killing stuff like that because they won't care. So, if you honestly think about it, I know back during the mountain man days and, stuff like that, right now we have laws and stuff that says you can only hunt during this season, and you're only allowed to take this many animals. Okay, if it comes down to let's say it's a grid down, or we're at war and we've been nuked, and everything's all the crap. Okay, and you got to survive. Okay, everybody else gonna have the same mentality. Them big deer and bear and all that, boy, that's the way to go right there. It gets you a lot of meat quick. Well, that's true. But if you think about it, there's a lot more people in the world today than they used to be. So I'm going to say within 2 years, 80 to 90% of your big game population will be gone. Okay, at first, man, go out there and kill a turkey, a squirrel, rabbits, and stuff like that, Okay, everybody's going to hunt. Okay, when it comes down to there's not as many deer and stuff in your area, or there's not as many turkeys, and everybody's trying to hunt, you may have to step back and say, okay, I got to figure something else out. Okay, we'll start with, let's go with the ones that people will find least offensive. Okay, I brought these two little ones in. These are live traps. You could take and catch a squirrel, rabbit, something like that in these. They're not expensive. Well, they are. They're, for what they are kind of expensive. But if you bait these correctly, you could catch a squirrel or a small rabbit, or, something like that. And this one, I have the big ones that will catch a coon and, possums and stuff like that, I use out here to keep them out of my animals. Okay. That may be the way you want to go, but remember, you have to dispatch that animal when you catch it. Okay. I'm going to start just, doing things off the table. Seeds. When the crap hits the fan, you need to have a seed bank, because you ain't going to run to the co-op or to the Walmart or wherever you buy your seeds and plants. That won't be safe. So, you can look on different websites and stuff, and they've got big buckets of seeds and stuff like that. But stay with heirloom seeds, because heirloom seeds you can grow from year to year. You can save your seeds, like I did this okra. And, I've got some growing this year I'm trying that I reckon the okra on it gets 16 inches long before it gets tough. Well, that's a pretty good size okra. Well, I'll save the seeds out of a bunch of it. This here is, I think, Crimson Spineless, which is a, heirloom okra. I have seeds from, all kinds of stuff where I've ordered. But, you may want to look into getting some seeds and putting back. And even if, you may do what they call jungle planting. Okay, you may not be able to put out a garden where everybody walks by and go, look at that pretty garden. Boy, when that right there gets ready to harvest, okay, people are going to try to steal your stuff. But if you put a mater plant here and another one out there, and a piece of corn there, scattered around and, just all over the place, people won't pay it so much attention, and they won't go, wow, there's a whole garden just ready to be harvested. And you can go out there and take care of them just like you can your garden. But also on that note, you need a way to dry it, preserve it, can it, something to where, you can make it through the winter with those vegetables. So you may want to look into getting canning jars or invest in a solar dehydrator. Look them up. I plan on later, I'm going to try to build me a solar dehydrator. And, that's a fast way to dehydrate stuff. Or you can just take like your window screens and lay your stuff on it out in the sun all day. As it, you may have to take it out there a day or two to get it where it's dry enough. But you could dry it just taking the window screens out of your house and laying it on it. And, you can do all kinds of fruits, vegetables, everything. You can dehydrate them, put them in jars, and you can preserve them that way. And, that's just another way that you can acquire food. Another one on that note is foraging. And I recommend get you a book or two on foraging plants. Okay, if you don't know what's out there that you can eat, you better have one of these books. Now, I've studied this stuff my whole life, and I do have some of these books. I have them because I don't know it all. I really don't. I thought I knowed a lot, but there's a lot more stuff out here that you can eat that I didn't know of. And there's flowers that people grow that's edible, and you can eat them. Well, see, I didn't know that. So I've got probably 24 of medical plants. That's another thing, you might want to get some books on medical plants, some on foraging, some on edibles and stuff like that, is in your area, because you can't leave off meat alone. And if you go out there in the yard and you're picking greens and, let's say planting and stuff like that, and you're bringing it into your, diet, that helps a lot. And it's a good thing to know that, this stuff here. So I recommend, let's see about getting, everybody try to get a few books. And that way, you may not have your phone where you can look stuff up, or, I've seen those apps where you take in, oh, what is that? And is it edible? And, all that. And it tells you all that. But what happens if the power grid's down and the communication's down? Nothing's working like that. You can go back to these old books and find that stuff out. Okay, I'll do this one real quick because this is a simple one. Rod and reel, fishing gear. This is my emergency fishing gear out of the truck. I brought it back in real quick. I did put some split shots in here. But, have some hooks and sinkers. And if you got lures that works, I'd buy them up, have them ready. So if you did have to go down to the creek or to the river, catch some fish, you'd have means to do that. And, you take these, you get on some of them websites, man, these fishing poles are cheaper. Go to the pawn shop, you can pick them up for $5. Well, you can pick up a tackle box or something for a little nothing. Go to Walmart and just buy hooks and sinkers, a couple bobbers and stuff, have them laid up in case you need them. You might take a note you won't go fishing if you don't need them. But, that would be another way to acquire food for you and your family. Let me lay this over here. Okay. Another thing, a lot of people are going to go about. These are crawdad traps. Y'all know what crawdads is? They're about that long, got pinchers. They're like a little mini lobster. Okay, these are from Temu. I ordered these so when I'm fishing, I can throw these into the, the lake and catch me bait. And if you're going fishing, it wouldn't be a bad idea to have some of these to catch you some bait. And I've got an old time minnow trap. I've got several of these that I throw into creeks and stuff around here and catch minnows and crawdads and, stuff like that. And, it's a good way, you can eat them crawdads. Boy, don't tell me you can't, because, dude, You take them, we used to take them and pull the tails off of them, and we'd make biscuits, and it's called crawdad biscuits. And you just put your little seasoning in them biscuits with them crawdad tails, and they fry up kind of crunchy, and they're really good. And if I had to, I think I could roast a couple meaners, them little minnows and stuff in there. You catch sometimes good sized minnows in there. Well, if you eat sardines, you eat a whole fish, so don't act like it's gross. But that would be another means of getting food that most people may not have a way. I also throw in, I couldn't find my castanet. I've got a castanet, and it throws out and it catches what's ever there. You get minnows, fish, whatever. That would also be a good way. Mine's in one of the buildings out here. I couldn't find it. But, that'd be another way to acquire fish. It's just, if you don't have a creek or a stream or something near you, you might not want to look at fishing. You may want to look at other things. Okay, I'm going to start on the smallest spectrum on this next set. Now, I'm not going to go in detail of how to do all this. We'll do that later. Okay, I just want to touch in things that you may want to try to acquire in case the, crap hits the fan. Now, okay, we'll start with the little stuff. A mousetrap. You watch these survivor shows and Lawn and all that, they catch them mice, buddy, and they roast them up and eat them. Well, these little mousetraps ain't expensive. And if you got a little something to rub on there, a little grease or whatever from where you eat, you take the fish guts and put it on there. Mouse come along, more food. Okay, I also have these. These are bigger rat traps. And believe it or not, I've seen where people would put peanut butter on this, take it out there and put it, on a tree, or like on lay a log up on a tree, set that on it. Squirrel come along, try to eat that, it'd knock a squirrel's brains out. And as eating squirrel, he'd just fall off there, he'd be stuck in the trap one. They just go back up there and reset it. These ain't expensive. This one here was $2.69. And I'm going to say you can get them cheaper than that. But I bought, 10 or so of these and throw them, in a drawer in case I get big ass rats. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said that word. Please forgive me. If I get them big rats, them big wharf rats, I want something to knock his brains out with, even if it ain't a crap hits the fan situation. And then me and my cats are going to have a talk about why I'm being invaded by monstrous rats. Okay, I keep these because every now and again a mouse will get by my cats. And once it gets in here, it's got to go. And there's other ones. Let me see. Hold on just a second. Let me see if I have the one laying right here. This one here, they sell at Tractor Supply and Rural King. And you just open it up and you put your bait in there. And you just set it like that. The thing comes along, touches that where that peanut butter is right there. Whack! You got him. And it's just that simple to set. You just mash it back. And you see it's been used. It's got peanut butter in it. I'll have to wash my hands when I get done. But, that would be if you had to eat a mouse or something. That'd be a way to get it. And, every little bit of protein counts and stuff like that happens, especially in the dead of winter. And if you don't think a mouse can mess up when I was homeless, that was the aggravatingest thing because you'd have your clothes over there, in a duffel bag or something like that. And they'll eat your duffel bag up. They'll eat your clothes up. They're looking for a place to build a home or a nest. And, man, your stuff is number one stuff. Okay, trust me. You get them run through your camp if you're out in the woods, and trust me, they up in the woods, they everywhere. Them mouse traps be an awful handy thing to have to keep them from, eating your gear up. And you see that on a lot on them shows, too. There'll be a mouse there and they'll say, I'll bomb this whole place. I hate them things because they do come in and destroy your gear. Okay, I guess the next one we'll talk about is, this is a single spring. I used to trap a lot when I was younger, and before the trapping industry went down, I used to trap a lot. And there is an art to setting traps. It ain't just take them in the woods and throw them down and, you catch stuff. It don't work like that. And one day we will make a video on how to set traps and how to bed them and, how to keep them from freezing and all that. We'll do a video on all that. This is what they call a single spring leg hold trap. And what happens is you set this, these jaws open up, you lift this little pan up, well, you got a little piece of metal right here. It comes over that jaw, and then you pull that up and it catches it and holds it. Well, when, let's say, a rabbit, a squirrel, a coon, possum, whatever comes along, it steps on that, this here grabs it and holds it until you get back. Okay, it can hunt when you can't. When you got to be out here doing something else or, whatever, these here hunt 24/7. And in the grit down situation, crap hits the fan, whatever, this here would be a good way to, get out here and catch you some food. Now, this here is a double spring trap, and you just pull these down, you open the jaws up, same principle. You put this down, you raise that up, it holds the jaw. When something comes along, steps on that pan, whap, it's got it. This will hold a coyote or anything. These used to be, they're still expensive in a way, but a lot of people now is getting rid of them because trapping furs ain't no money in it. And I bought several traps here lately from people that used to trap and they don't buy them. They're not doing it no more. And, I bought the hide stretchers and stuff like that because, okay, you remember back in the day, people wore hides. You'd have to sew them together, make a shirt or whatever to make it warm. So in the winter, you'd be warmer. You may have to sew it together and make you a blanket to get down in to keep you warmer. But these little leg hold traps right here will get the job done. Now, you just got to learn how to do them. And like I said, we will do a video on how to set traps, how to bait them, and everything like that, and how to do, specific things. What are you after, and how to catch those specific things so you're not catching everything in the woods that you don't want to. Okay? And now, in our state, let me do this. You got trapping laws. And, you got to have a name tag on these if you set them here now. And you have to put it on the chain that identifies this trap's yours. You have to check them every 24 hours. At least once a day, you have to check these traps. You can't just take them out there and set them and not check them. You are to check them at least once a day. And I usually check mine early in the morning because most animals use it at night. And I'd rather, try to get it early and fresh. But, check with your trapping laws and stuff like that so you don't get in trouble with the law. But, this is a way. Okay. And then I have smaller ones of these. This here is a 220 conibear, and it's called a body hold trap. And you set this in a path, and we'll go over how to set these. I've got a tool that helps you set these, but it will be set in our, it would open this way, but it'll look like this when you get done, and these will be narrowed down. But this here, this little thing here catches this, and when something comes through and moves this trap grabs it by the body, and it's an instant kill trap. It, kills whatever it gets instantly, and it's not sitting there suffering or anything like that. But these are good for like possums, coons, and stuff. And I've got some out there, smaller that is good for squirrels. You can put those. There's ways of trapping squirrels on a tree by using these. You take and make a bit. What I done is I made a wooden box that these here had like a notch in them. I'd put the bait at the end of that box, put that in the hole, so when the animal come to get that bait, whap, there it was. We will go over how to set these and how to use them and stuff like that. These here are about $12 a piece. I bought these because they were new, and the lady was just said she couldn't sell them and that she'd like to get rid of them. So, I made her offer and she took it. But I'm setting them outside where they can rust. I want them to rust so they don't be all shiny. And the other day I was over there to the store and she had a couple of these big monsters. Now these are good for beaver, groundhog, and stuff like that. But you do have to have that tool I have to set these. These are monsters. And, it does the same thing, but this, takes, you can get a groundhog. I take this. I've got other ones, but, I would set this and find a groundhog hole, and I'll just put that right on top of that groundhog hole. Well, the only thing he sees is these two little sticks sticking out. Well, when he comes up through there, whap, he's there. All I do is go pick him up, bring him up here, and fix him. And I know people sitting there going, he's a groundhog. Okay. I'm telling you, that's why these kids around here thought that too. So I fixed a couple. And now when I tell them I got groundhog, buddy, they'll knock a door down getting over here to eat it. But, look into these traps. You can find them at flea markets. You can find them at, some people have them in yard sales. You see them on Marketplace and, all kinds of places like that. But, I recommend get a variety of traps. Get a whole bunch of different kind. That way, you can set them different ways. And it gives you other ways to be able to, catch animals. And they trap when you can't. They're hunting when you can't. Okay. I bought these back at the end of, right before I quit trapping. And these are snares. Okay. Basically, it's just a wire that you make a loop. And let me get these undone, or to get one of them undone so I can show you. Okay, this is a small one. It'd be good for rabbits, squirrels. I'm going to say you catch a skunk or something in it because it opens up about that big. Okay, you're not going to hold, a big animal with this. But, basically what you do is you set this up. And like, if I was setting it up for a squirrel, I set this on where, a log runs up and down a tree, set that up there. When it comes through, and it'll fall off the log, and it's sitting there, dangling, and it don't back off. You got to know how to back them off. But this is another, good way to catch animals. And, it's just another means of trapping. And, you can make snares if, you can take just regular wire and actually design your own snares and stuff. But I found these, I want to say at Bass Pro or Summers. Anyway, was it Cabela's Bass? I don't know, Cabela's Bass Pro or something. But it was after, trapping season was over. And like I said, people, buy stuff when season's over. Because, the price of stuff goes down. They're wanting that shelf space, and they'll make you a deal on all this stuff. And one day we will do a video on, how to set a snare. And there's different ways. There's several ways to set a snare. But see, I've got this size, which is good for rabbits and stuff like that. And you can buy them dozens at a time. You can get them off eBay, too. That's another good place to get them, is off of eBay. Then I've got bigger ones. That's like for, you can get cows. You could get a deer if you had to with this. I don't know if I'd want to grab a bear with it. But this, if you get a, young deer, these will hold them. And, they work good for fox, coons, bobcats, and stuff like that, too. And another thing, if you got animals, chickens, turkeys, ducks, pigs, whatever, okay, the wildlife will be looking for something to eat. And don't think for a second they won't come and eyeball your game stuff. You know what I'm saying? Okay, I think this is more snares. Yeah, this is all snares, but they get bigger. Like there's some big ones in here. Like them there, I'm gonna say if you got a bear that hit, might hold it. because that's a big old snare. Okay, this is the mediums again, and we'll go over how to set them and how to figure out where to set them. Okay, people thought I was crazy, but my buddies play a guitar, and I get these guitar strings. Okay, you take like this guitar string right here. Okay, we're going to unravel it here because now this is ones he's already played, and he put new ones on his guitar. Okay, now this ain't going to hold maybe just a rabbit or something, the little ones. But you take, it's got that little eyelet right there. Okay, you feed that through there like that. You tie a little loop on the end so you got something tied to, and you hang that over a trail. Here comes the rabbit, and it'll run right down there. He'll be there because that's a pretty stout little wire. And it does, work for snares on small things. Now, there's bigger strings, and, that'd probably be a better one to have. But in a pinch, you can make these things work. And they make rolls of wire that does this, you can make snares and stuff out of. Okay. I've got frog gigs, fish gigs, and stuff like that because, if the fish ain't biting, everything's wanting to be stubborn and laying on the bed and stuff, and you can't get them to bite your hook. Well, you may have to get out there and do a little wading, and, or like them big red horse suckers that comes up. I don't know if everybody knows what a red horse sucker is. It's a fish that comes up around here during about the time dogwoods bloom, and they're real good eating, but they're about impossible to get to bite. A lot of people snag them with snag hooks, stuff like that. Well, if you get there on the side of the bank and watch, they'll come up the river, and you need to check your game laws again. I'm not telling you go break a law, but you take that fish gig and take him out. You may want to invest in one of them spear guns. You know what I'm talking about? Or one of them bows that, you could take your bow and get one of them fish things where you and catch them fish like that. There's a lot of ways of doing this, people. But the thing nobody does is you got to plan ahead. You need to I already have this stuff because I promise when the crap does hit the fan, you won't be able to get this gear. You won't be able to find it nowhere. And the people that's got it, okay, trust me, they're not going to let it go. And if they do, it'll cost you a bloody fortune. Okay, I've got a barrel out there where I used to trap. And you got to know, you can't just take this trap right here into the woods like it is. That ain't going to work. You got to know how to dye it and how to wax it to get rid of the human sin off of it. Then you got to have gloves, waders, and, you got to know how to set this. Just taking this out there in the woods ain't worth 5 cents. It just won't work. Now, these live traps, you can kind of take them out there and throw a little dog food in the back of them. You might catch something. The minnow traps, same thing. You put a little something in there, crackers, whatever, and you can probably catch something. But a lot of this takes a little bit of skill. And, I will do a video on how to set all this up. And, there's what they call a snare. Will whoop that thing up off the ground because if you got a rabbit, and I've seen it, and if you watch them shows, Alone and Survivor and all that, okay, you ain't the only person out there hunting. And they'll set their snares at night. They'll catch a rabbit, and next morning a fox or, a coyote or whatever's went through and eat all their stuff. And they learn that trap line. And they'll come through and eat every bit of your stuff. But if you get that thing up on a tree and, it's dangling up off the ground, he can't get to it, okay, you get to eat it. But we'll go through all that, at another time. Okay, I couldn't bring them in the house, but another thing you might want to look into, if you can have this stuff, if you're out in the country, you might want to have a couple chickens, a couple ducks, turkeys, whatever you like. Maybe a hog or two, you can have room for cattle. But remember, okay, let me touch something on chickens. Okay, I like hens that set. A lot of people don't like hens that go broody. I do. I've got 9 out here setting right now. Okay, they're setting on from 11 to 16 eggs apiece. Okay, let's say they hatch half of them. Okay, that's going to be what? Let's say at least 40 baby diddles. Okay, the mama's going to raise them. She's going to take care of them and all that. I'm going to make sure nothing bothers her. Okay, but for the year, let's say if your luck's like mine, 2/3 of them's going to be roosters. Okay, those 2/3 roosters, I'm going to put them in the freezer. If I've got a hen out here that, maybe she's got her 2nd or 3rd year and she's laying every other day, I'm going to replace her with these young hens and I'm going to put them in the freezer. That way I'm getting the meat from the chickens and I'm keeping the young egg layers laying good eggs and stuff like that. And you need to know how to preserve eggs. I do lime eggs. You can, I don't know if refrigeration will work, but, I've got some in the freezer that, you just whoop up like scrambled eggs. And I've got these little rubber, we'll do a video on that. It's like rubber pancake thing or cupcake things. And you put them eggs in that and you put them in the freezer. Then you just pop them out, put them in the baggies, put them in the freezer, and you got eggs. And you just take them out, put 1 or 2, use those 2 eggs. You put them 2 eggs in a bowl and you let them thaw. You make your scrambled eggs out of that. Or you can use them for bacon, whatever you need them for. But, I have eggs over here in lime water. That's been, some of them, I'm eating on eggs that's 2-year-old. And they're perfectly fine with no refrigeration, nothing. But, you need to look into, how to preserve foods and stuff. Okay. You may want to learn how to can stuff. Okay. Everybody didn't have pressure cookers back in the day. Okay. I still take beans. When I get a big crop of soup beans, I'll have so many here running pressure canners. Then I've got a big tub out there that holds I think it's about 70 quarts. And, I'll boil that thing for 5 hours. They say 4, but, where it takes so long, if you get the toppings hot enough, there'll be 2 stacks. Well, I'll boil them for 5 hours. Then I just leave the coals under there and go to bed. When I get up next morning, there's all them beans, good to go. Plus, I can come in here. Once that gets going, I just have to check on it every now and again, make sure it's boiling. Okay, I can come in here and be pressure canning in the house. Or if you had to, you could pressure can right on the far outside. But it's harder to regulate that, exact temperature and pressure when you're trying to do it outside unless you got some kind of propane or something. But I wanted to just kind of go over these things with you and give you ideas of how to, prep for food. You got, if you got animals, make sure you have a way to feed them through the winter, a way to protect them, because, people will try to get your critters and animals will try to get your critters. It'll be bad. Okay, I can go out there and like on mine, I'll feed them in the evenings and they'll get trained to me hollering, something that normal people wouldn't holler, and that'll tell them to go into the pen. I'll feed them, and then, I can put them up when they go into the chicken house. I can lock them up. Nobody can bother them. And, look into rabbits. If you can't have chickens, get some rabbits. They're quiet. They don't eat a lot. They make a lot of poop and stuff that you can put right on your garden for fertilizer and stuff. But, you're going to have means of feeding yourself and your family. And, all this is just ways that come off the top of my head. I was sitting there thinking, well, what could I do if it did hit that? Here's a whole gamut of ways. Hunting, fishing, trapping, all that. And, I just want to touch base with you on some of this stuff. And this ain't me being a prepper. This is back in the days when I used to trap. And I trapped a lot when I was younger. And, you can make a pretty decent living. You can make a couple $1,000 in the winter trapping. But now, you ain't going to do it. You'll be lucky enough to buy your bait and stuff back. Now, if you got a high predator situation, okay, I can see trapping to, cut the predators down. So your deers and turkeys have better chance. But as far as making money, those days are over. But, you know, look for traps and stuff. We'll go through a trapping video one day and show you how to bed traps, how to bait traps and stuff like that. And that way, if you do get some, you'll be able to know how to do it. And we'll teach you how to set snares. And, you know, there's a little old trigger you can make that, you know, makes that when that animal gets in that snare, it jerks it off the ground. I'll show you how to make those and stuff like that. But, you know, give it some thought. What can you do in your area? You know, and I know people don't want the thought of eating a rat, and I don't either. That just is about the unappetizing thing I could think about. But you ain't been that hungry, and I have. And, you know, these days that, you know, I would just be tickled death to catch a fish because I could eat. Or I went down to the Salvation Army, and they had bread sitting outside, just a loaf of bread that was out of date. And, man, that bread was awful good. But, you know, until you've been hungry, it's easy to think, well, you know, I got this big plan of hunting and fish and all this. Everybody else does too. And it's easy to do it here. But what happens when you go down the riverbank and there's, you know, 50 guys down there, and if you catch a fish, they're willing to do anything they have to take that fish from you. You know, that's when these traps and stuff like that, you can, you know, set something like that, lay a piece of brush over it, and make it where it's not so noticeable. Well, when you come back, you raise a piece of brush up and see what you caught. And those come from TMU. They're not expensive. But it would be a way to catch crawdads and stuff like that. Or you can walk up the creek, you know, and take a can, you know, and run them back in that can. And that way you could catch them. And see if you catch them bait animals like that. You can also go and catch bigger fish with them. Well, I guess I've talked about all this enough, but if you have any questions, you know, put them in the comments and I'll try my best to answer them. Tomorrow, we'll look at, you know, how to do water and stuff like that, or, you know, whichever one I come up to. You know, we got, okay, this is food. We got water, shelter, and security. You know, and there's different parts of all this. That's just like this, you know, animals, seeds, traps, you know, hunting, you know, and then foraging and stuff like that. You know, it's always of feeding yourself. Okay, there's a ton of shelters out there that you can build, and you know, we'll go over some of them, and you know, like you may want to, you know, just do a quick lean-to or something then, but we'll go over all that during that video. But I'm gonna break it down into separate videos, and this will be how to acquire food if crap hits the fan. You know, you can have all that canned stuff laid up. You can have a ton of dried food laid up, you know, and all that. But eventually it'll run out. So you need to, you know, if that stuff starts, kind of like rotate stuff in so it lasts longer. And, you know, go to the store, man. You know, take a can of peas and beans and stuff like that, 69, 79 cents a can, $1. Okay, buy a couple cases. Buy dried beans and stuff and put them up. Buy rice and stuff, put it up. Because people, here's the reason I started this, and I'm going to explain it to you. Okay, you remember when Donald Trump was president last time? The Democrats got out and done their peaceful protest. They burnt cop cars. They burnt blocks. They went in and robbed stores. And, you know, they got out and blocked bridges and all this to peacefully protest. Okay, you couldn't get toilet paper. If you remember, you go to the store and it was hard to find certain foods. You couldn't find them. Okay, and I'm not blaming Donald Trump, but the Democrats may decide to peacefully protest again if he gets elected. Okay, now let's look at Kamala Harris. If she wins it, she's done talked about within the first 100 days, she's going to start taking people's guns, you know, and she's going to do this and she's going to do that. Okay, there may be a civil war in this country come up if they start that. Okay, you need to, you know, it may not be that. It's, you know, that'd be a crap hit the fan situation where, you know, you need to feed your family and stuff. and you may need to protect your family. But you know, I don't know, I've just got a bad feeling about November, no matter which way it goes. You know, I'd lay me up some extra toilet paper. I'd hunt me a few medical supplies and lay them up. You know, stuff like that, just in case you need it. And if you don't, you still have it. You know, let's say November goes right on through smoothly. Okay, does it hurt to have an extra couple packs of toilet paper or towels? You may not want to run to the store tomorrow. You run out of toilet paper, you got to pack extra. Just saying. And I do think that, you know, if Donald Trump gets reelected, which, you know, I like Donald Trump, but if he does, man, you know, they start peacefully protesting, it may not go as smooth as it did last time. And you don't know what people may decide, okay, we're not going to put up this stuff again. And that may take the law in their own hands. Okay, then you've got a civil war started. There's 1,000 scenarios could happen. Okay, let's say a tornado hits your community, tires of stores and stuff up. It may not hit your house, but you still ain't got means to get supplies and stuff. And, you know, you may have to get out there and find a way to eat. Okay, you turn around and it could be a flood. Maybe it didn't get your house. Okay, but you'll need ways to get something to eat. There's always a scenario where, you know, all this stuff could come in handy. And, you know, go get you a steel 55-gallon barrel that the lid comes off of. And if you're doing traps and stuff, as you get them, throw them down in there. If you get snares, you know, pitch them down in there. And then when you do need them, you know, that barrel keeps them protected. They're not getting burnt or anything like that. So they'd be protected. All right, I'm going to jump off here, try to get a little something done. I got to go feed my hogs, and I'm going to go down and check the peaches. I'm hoping they're ready because I want to can some peaches and make some peach jelly. And if we do, you know, if they're ready, I'm going to bring them up, and we may do a canning video on some peaches and freezing peaches and making peach jelly and preserves and stuff like that. But let me jump off here so I can get back to work. But I want to touch base with y'all on all this. And my brother's doing good. He's, you know, he's still sick, but, you know, he's not out of danger, but he's doing pretty good. And I was glad to get to go see him and talk to him yesterday and take him some stuff. And, you know, man, I tell you, you better take care of your family. And if they need you, man, take a day. Because that may be a day you never get back. Take that day. Okay, and everybody that prayed for my family, I appreciate that. I really do. You don't know how much. Okay, y'all have a good day. Have a blessed day. Be good to each other, and we'll see you on the next video.